Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie. We have a great show for you today. First up, we will be covering is JD Martinez signing with the New York Mets. After that, we'll be talking about how does that signing affect the last big free agent left on the market, Jordan Montgomery. Then we'll be talking about some notable roster moves, players getting sent up and down, and finally, just some general news stories around the league as well. Now, before we do that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that the question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. Really does to donate to the show. Really does help the show. Really does mean a lot. Really does help me. Really helps everyone here at the network. So thank you so much for that. And let's get into our first segment of the day. So, as I talked about a little bit before in the prequel there, the first segment we're going to be talking about is really the big significant news coming out of last night, and that is JD Martinez has finally agreed on where he will play baseball next year and finally signed, and that is it being with the New York Mets. Now, my general first thoughts on the deal were surprised. I am a Mets fan. I'm going to get that straight out of the way, so I'm going to be talking about this in a Mets fan's point of view, so just be prepared for that. So I was very surprised personally, listening to what everything new president of baseball operations, David Stearns, had to say. It seemed like Martinez wasn't going to be signed here, even with the rumors, because of the fact that they wanted to give the younger guys a chance. Guys like Mark Vientos, guys like Brett Beatty, even Ronnie Mauricio before he got hurt. Guys like that, they wanted to give them big chances at the designated hitter position, big chances to be impactful every single day, be in the lineup every single day, have a clear position. As he put it, if players are consistently performing in the minor league level, they should absolutely get a chance to perform at the major league level. So for that reason, as much as Martinez made a lot of sense for the Mets, as much as he was rumored to them a lot, with other teams of course as well, I just didn't think would happen. I didn't think they would spend the money to get him when they wanted to see what the young players had in store. Obviously, that ended up being wrong because they ended up signing him last night to a one-year, $12 million deal, and I was very surprised with that. Like I said, everything I had heard and I had read was that they wanted to give the younger guys a chance at the designated hitter position, and that Martinez wasn't a fit for that, because if this is kind of not a rebuilding year, because if it was a rebuilding year, I don't think they would have made the moves they did this offseason, but it's kind of a seeing what you got year, seeing what David Stearns has in store for his first year and what he has beyond, seeing what he has in guys like Vientos specifically, who's going to be a big part of this segment, seeing what you have in those young designated hitter types. So I was surprised that he did end up signing the 37-year-old to a one-year deal instead of seeing what the younger guy in Vientos has. But I think in the end what happened was that Martinez his price got too low to pass up. I mean, this is a guy who's been a consistently amazing hitter his entire career, one of the best designated hitters in baseball for a long, long time. I would say still one of the better designated hitters. Again, not as good as he was in his prime, but still a really, really effective guy with the bat. And he was still out there. And signing him to a one-year, $12 million contract is pretty incredible. And also, he's not going to affect the luxury tax as much because they're deferring the contract 4 years. They're only paying him $4.5 this year, and then the rest of the money is deferred throughout years in the very much future. So it just made too much sense for them to get him. At that point, with the price point falling so low, David Stearns is a guy who knows how to get a good bargain. He came from Milwaukee, where they didn't have that much money, simply put, and they couldn't really afford the big free agents like you can now with the Mets. So he knows how to wait out a market. He knows what a good bargain is when he sees it, even though he still has he has the money now with the Mets. And I think he just saw Martinez's price going at this point and saying, okay, this is an incredible player, a guy who maybe doesn't fit the best on this team because of who we want to play, but at this point he still is somewhat of a fit and would make this team a lot better, and the price to a point where I just can't willingly say no. So they gave it to him, and he's on the Mets now. So I was very surprised when this happened, but overall I think it's a great deal for the Mets, and I think it's a great deal for Martinez. Martinez obviously said no to $15 million before with the Giants, as he wanted more of a hitter-friendly park. Now he's taking $3 million less to go to the Mets. Now, the Mets aren't exactly a hitter-friendly park, I would say, but they're definitely more hitter-friendly than San Francisco is for a right-handed hitter. So I think that's also why he came here. Again, $12 million is pretty great. He's going to a team that really needs him. The Mets have for 6 years needed another power bat besides Pete Alonso. They have a guy here now in Francisco Alvarez who I think could be a really nice guy for that, but you could always use more. Before that, I mean, guys you had protecting him were guys like JD Davis, Mike Conforto, Jeff McNeil. Good hitters, but are they the elite power hitters you want protecting your star bat? I don't think so. Even Lindor's not an elite hitter with the bat. He's an elite player, but his main signature is fielding. So he was not really the guy you want to protect Alonso. You want another big power bat, and you're getting one in JD Martinez, a guy who's made his career hitting home runs, being an incredible DH, and that's really why I love this move for the Mets. It finally gets some protection for Pete Alonso in what could be his last year. And overall, I just think Martinez makes this lineup so much better and so much deeper. The lineup was fine before, but now you have so many great players in that lineup. You have, first of all, Francisco Alvarez behind the plate. It was one of the better young catchers in baseball. I think will be a top 5 or 3 catcher in the league by the end of the year. I'm super high on him, and I think a lot of baseball fans are, with how much he has shown in his career so far. I mean, of course, Pete Alonso, one of the premier power hitters in the game. Jeff McNeil, a former batting title winner who's looking to bounce back. Francisco Lindor, a top 3 shortstop in baseball. He's top 2 before, but Mookie is now the shortstop of the Dodgers, so he's top 3. After that, Brandon Nimmo, an amazing player. Marte, a guy who's looking to bounce back. So you now go from a lot of question marks, the DH with Beatty and Vientos there, to now a guy who's shown what he can do, is one of the most respected guys at that position, one of the guys that you can rely on. And it just makes this lineup so much better. I mean, you now have a top 5 of most likely Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, JD Martinez, Francisco Alvarez. Top 6, sorry. Those are 6 really good hitters. Really good hitters. And after that, it's not even that bad. First of all, you have Harrison Bader, who's not a bad hitter against lefties, and even though he's the defensive first guy. You have Beatty, who has a lot of potential still with the bat, has done well in spring, so he could potentially be looking for a career revitalized. After that, you have Marte, who was a great hitter when healthy, and hopefully is going to be healthy going into the year. Hasn't shown much in spring training, but you take spring training with a grain of salt. So I think Martinez makes him so much better. I think he makes the lineup so much deeper. And I love this move for the Mets, and I think it's a great move. So I think it's a great place for Martinez as well, going to a younger team that has a lot to fight for, trying to make the playoffs, trying to prove everyone wrong, and going to another big market. I mean, he was in LA last year, but that's really the only big markets he's been in. He's been in Miami, he's been in Houston, Detroit. He's been in obviously LA last year. He's been in Arizona, so Boston, of course. So really, Boston, LA, and New York. That's only really some of the big markets he's been in. So it's nice for him to return there, to go to another big market. So I love the deal for the Mets. I love the deal for Martinez. I think it's a great fit of player and team. And I'm really excited to watch him as a Mets fan. I'm excited we got a power bat. I personally was never that high on Mark Vientos. I wanted to trade him in the offseason. So I always wanted to sign a veteran DH. I was more of a Jorge Soler guy, but I think Martinez works just as well. Now, are there some negatives with Martinez? Sure. Going over some of them now. First, you have his age. He is 37. Yes, he only hits, but he's had some injury issues in the past, specifically with his back. A few years ago, he had some problems there, which was one of the reasons he had a bad season last year with the Red Sox. I think that relates to his age as well. Also, he's going away from his hitting guru, which might sound kind of insane, but he got his career back on track with the Dodgers last year, and the guy he's known for hitting with in his career, a guy he's really good friends with, his personal hitting coach is with the Dodgers organization now. He went there and he kind of helped him again. So could that be an effect? Sure. Again, it sounds stupid, but all these things matter to a baseball player. I talked yesterday about Yoshinobu Yamamoto and how all these factors could be relating to his not great start. So I think you have to look at a lot of factors when looking at athletes and seeing what goes on with them. So I don't really think it's that insane to talk about, and I think it is something to watch. But again, I think it's mainly the age, and if the back problems flare up again, I think that will be a problem. But it's only a one-year deal, and they can just let him go after this year, no harm, no foul, if he is bad, unfortunately. So that's really all you can say about that. But now, going off of Mark Vientos, what happens to him now? The thing is, I don't know. I think he was banking on being the opening day DH. I think the Mets were. I don't think they expected Martinez to sign with them. So I think he'll end up going in AAA, getting significant at-bats there, and coming up the first time anyone's hurt. The great thing about this Mets team is there's a lot of versatility. So, for example, if Brandon Nimmo were to get hurt, you could probably move Jeff to left field, put Vientos somewhere on the infield, and play him there. So I think there's a lot of versatility with this team, and you just want to get Vientos at bats as well as you can. I want to say using Brandon Nimmo was not the best example I could use because I don't think Vientos or Beatty play second base. But yeah, I was kind of just saying Vientos I think will be the first guy up if someone does get hurt because they do want to play him. It's just they don't have a spot for him now. I would personally trade him. I think even if he is good, his potential is an okay DH. I don't think his potential is so amazing that you have to play him. So I would have traded him, and that's why I'm not too mad about this Martinez signing. That's why I like it. Again, I'm not very high in Mark Vientos anyways, so I'm not really stressing about it. So that's really it. But yeah, for the Mike Vientos side of it, because he is a big part of this, considering the Mets fans and the Mets were banking on him being the opening day DH. So now, looking at it from, again, a team perspective, how much better does it make them? Does it get them past above the teams that are ahead of them? Teams I mentioned yesterday, like the Cubs, the Padres, the Giants. I think those are really the only teams in reach. After that, the Diamondbacks, Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, I don't think are in reach for the Mets, but does it make them better than the Giants and the Padres and the Cubs? Also the Reds, I would say, but Reds and Cubs are fighting for one spot because they'll be in the NL Central crown, and then one of them can get the wild card, but you get what I mean. I don't think it does, personally. I still think they needed to add another thing. I think the pitching is the problem. I think it really all relies on the pitching. I think that, again, I've talked about this a few times, but I think pitching is such a boom or bust with this Mets team. I think Minaya and Severino are either going to be amazing or really, really bad. So I don't think Martinez has really any effect on that. So overall, that's what I think. I think that it doesn't make them a significant enough of a better team to go over teams that were ahead of them before, like the Cubs, like the Reds, like the Padres, like the Giants. So again, I love the signing. I think it's significant. I think it makes the team a lot better, but I don't think it makes them better enough to catch teams like the Giants and specifically the Padres as well. Padres added Dylan Cease. They're probably going to add Tommy Pham soon. I mean, that's the writing's been on the wall for a long time, I think. The Giants just added the Cy Young winner from last year. They added Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, Jung-Hoo Lee before. So I don't think one JD Martinez signing matches up with that. Do I think it's a great signing? Absolutely. Do I think it makes the Mets team a lot better? Absolutely. But I don't think it's as significant enough to make them better than these teams on paper. I think the Mets and these teams that I mentioned are going to be fighting for one or two playoff spots, and it's going to be fun to watch. It's just I wouldn't say the Mets are at the top of that right now, even though the bias inside of me wants to say that and wants to shout, Mets going to the World Series 2024. They're going to sweep everyone. I don't believe me, I wish, but I don't think it's going to happen. So that was my first segment here, talking about JD Martinez signing with the New York Mets and the effects on it. So we're going to go to a break here, but before that, we're going to go to our second segment, which is going to be talking about the other big free agent now in the market, Jordan Montgomery, kind of the last of the big five still out there. So I'm just going to talk about him, some teams where I think he could end up, and just overall about that. So yeah, we're going to talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks. Bye.